Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. Tell me something. Have you ever felt like you're just giving your absolute all to the people around you, only to end up feeling completely taken for granted? Like you're constantly pouring from an empty cup, handing over your time, your energy, and your heart to people who simply don't seem to recognize your worth? Well, if that hits home for you, I am so incredibly glad you're here today. We're going to walk together through a deeply moving piece of source material that really addresses that quiet, isolating pain of feeling undervalued. The speech we're examining today is all about changing yourself so much that people actually crave your presence. And honestly, it offers a pretty profound roadmap for taking back your self-respect. Now, right out of the gate, there's this incredibly striking quote from our source material that translates to, "In today's world, the more respect, love, and importance you give, the more lightly people will take you." I just want you to let that sink in for a second. It perfectly validates that exact pain point you might be feeling right now. The source argues that overgiving doesn't actually secure your place in someone's heart. Instead, doing that often just diminishes your perceived worth in their eyes. It's a really tough pill to swallow, but acknowledging this reality is absolutely the first step toward true healing. Well, that harsh realization actually brings us to the first really crucial step here. You've got to recognize your own value. I mean, think about it. If you walk into a room and you don't even know what you bring to the table, you absolutely cannot expect the rest of the world to just hand you respect. It starts with you. Okay, so let's really dive into this. How do you know for sure when someone is just ignoring your value? The text breaks it down into three pretty practical signs. First, if you constantly feel like you have to prove your importance to someone, they don't value you, period. Second, if they repeatedly ignore you in favor of other people, you're just an option to them, not a priority. And third, if they delay talking to you or brush off your attempts to connect without even trying to understand your feelings, that is a massive red flag. The source actually urges you not to give a second chance to someone who routinely makes you feel invisible.
So why does this keep happening? You know, the text points out this really sharp contrast between the way the modern world operates and how true emotional connections actually work. It argues that today, the world tends to maintain relationships using the mind, or logic. It's totally transactional. People are incredibly fluent in the language of profit, convenience, and what they can extract from you. Very few people out there still speak the pure language of emotions. So when you approach a transactional person with raw, genuine emotion, you end up getting hurt. Because at a fundamental level, you are literally speaking two completely different languages.
And it's exactly this disconnect that leads us to what the source calls the bitter truth of relationships. Sometimes breaking off a toxic bond is so much healthier than completely losing yourself trying to save it. So naturally, you might be wondering, what does a genuinely good connection even look like then? Well, according to the material, a true relationship is defined by a really profound level of emotional safety. It's a bond where your silence is actually valued. Think about that. A real companion doesn't need you to constantly entertain them or prove your worth to them. They understand you, even when the words fail, and they patiently help you understand them too. It's just this perfectly balanced, mutually supportive environment. But here's the catch, right? To find those true relationships, you've got to get really good at spotting the fake ones. Sweet talkers and flatterers might make you feel amazing in the moment, but their loyalty is entirely tied to their own selfish needs. On the flip side, the people who have the guts to look you in the eye and tell you the bitter truth, those are your real allies. They aren't trying to use you. They actually care enough about your well-being to risk upsetting you, just for your own good. Speaking of bitter truths, the text shares this absolutely beautiful metaphor about a father's love. It compares a father to a neem tree. Now, if you've ever seen or tasted anything from a neem tree, you know the leaves are incredibly bitter. In this context, that bitterness represents a father's strictness or tough love. But regardless of how bitter those leaves are, the shade that the tree provides is always cool, stable, and deeply comforting for an entire lifetime. It's a powerful reminder to value a stable, long-lasting presence over something that's just fleeting and superficially sweet. But you know, even with the best guidance, people are still going to hurt us. The text acknowledges this with a really heavy truth. Daggers leave wounds, but some people leave an impact on the heart that never heals. Just take a moment with that one. The source deeply validates those unseen, invisible scars left by people who walked into your life making all sorts of promises of forever, only to walk away as if they never even knew you. Those experiences fundamentally alter us. They teach us, often the hard way, exactly who is actually worthy of our trust. When we're left with those kinds of deep scars, honestly, the most natural human reaction in the world is to want revenge. We want to hit back.
But the source asks us to completely shift our focus here. It asks us to actively choose the path of karma over the path of revenge. But to really understand why revenge is a massive trap, we have to ask ourselves a pretty tough question. What is the actual inevitable result of ego? Because the desire for revenge is almost always born from a deeply bruised ego. When someone betrays us, our ego stands up and demands retaliation. But the text gives a stern warning that arrogance and ego really only have one inevitable destination, and that is absolute destruction. Let's look at the historical precedents the speaker brings up to back this point. And this brilliantly illustrates the point. The speaker draws on some pretty epic historical and mythological figures to show exactly what unchecked ego destroys. It completely destroyed the immense wealth of Ravana, it destroyed the unparalleled glory of Duryodhana, and it literally wiped out the entire lineage of Kansa. These were incredibly powerful figures, completely brought down by their own sheer arrogance. The core message here is crystal clear. If you let your ego and your malice drive you, you're going to destroy your own life way faster than your enemies ever could. Because of that, the speaker strongly advocates for a completely different approach, directly contrasting revenge with the path of truth. Look, the absolute best revenge isn't becoming like the people who hurt you. If you stoop to that level, you've already lost yourself. The true path, the path that actually liberates you, is gathering yourself, moving forward, and rising high above their negativity. You need to focus on your pure karma. Do your work with honesty and unshakable integrity. Just let your success and your inner peace be your ultimate response. To firmly close the book on revenge, the speaker delivers this haunting, just absolutely punchy one-liner. Corpses never cry. The ones who cry are those who burn them. What a profound metaphor. The idea is that those who actively try to destroy others, the ones who scheme and betray, they ultimately end up suffering the most themselves. The negativity they inject into the world literally burns them from the inside out. You don't need to exact revenge on them. Their own actions are going to take care of that for sure. So, having finally let go of that burning desire for revenge, we enter what is really the climax of this entire healing journey: solitude and inner peace. When you finally find the courage to walk away from toxic people, you're going to find yourself alone. And guess what? That is exactly where you need to be right now. To actually achieve that inner peace, the source offers this highly practical, kind of metaphorical rule for life. It says there are 3 things you absolutely must cut regularly if you want to avoid pain: desires, expectations, and nails. I know it sounds a little bit humorous at first, right? But the underlying logic is impeccable. Just as overgrown nails can physically scratch and hurt you or someone else, leaving your desires unchecked and placing unreasonably high expectations on flawed human beings is only going to lead to inner turmoil and massive disappointment. You've got to keep them trimmed, keep them manageable. As you start trimming back those expectations and really sit with yourself in solitude, you might start experiencing a profound sense of silence. The text dives into the psychological depths of this phase. It says that when pain crosses its absolute limit, a person literally stops crying outwardly. They just become completely silent. The tears no longer flow down their face, but internally, everything is being washed away. It's like the mind has taken so many hits that the blows simply stop registering the same way. But this isn't a breakdown at all. This is the ultimate internal reset. This is exactly where true healing begins. And in that profound silence, we have to totally redefine what it even means to be alone. Society has this habit of framing loneliness as a weakness, right? Like feeling disappointed or abandoned just because you're by yourself. But the speaker beautifully flips this, framing loneliness as an incredible, undeniable strength. When you are alone, you are the closest you will ever be to yourself. It is the absolute best time to build such unshakable internal confidence and total reliance on your own hard work that you wake up one day and realize you don't actually need external validation or support from anyone else to thrive. And hey, if you ever start to doubt this, the speaker offers a brilliant cold water reality check. Go to the market with an empty pocket and all your illusions will vanish. Lacking material wealth instantly reveals who is truly standing by your side and who is just hanging around for the benefits. It shows that worldly attachments are largely just illusions, based entirely on convenience. Once you recognize this fact, it sets you completely free from that desperate, exhausting need to please everybody else. To pull all of this actionable advice together, the speech essentially hands us a final toolkit for inner peace. Just 4 practical rules to live by. First up, forgive honest mistakes. Absolutely. But never ever tolerate calculated cunningness.
Second, fiercely protect your self-respect. Just quietly close the doors where your knock is no longer being answered. Third, when you find yourself in that powerful state of solitude we talked about, trust yourself and your hard work without a single doubt. And finally, keep your equilibrium by accepting both praise and criticism equally. End of the day, they are just words. Your true value has to come from within. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a lingering, super powerful question straight from the source material. If this world were so good, why would we come into it crying? It is such a brilliant, profound reminder of life's inevitable balance. Hardship, betrayal, pain, they are all baked into the human condition. We are quite literally born crying. But through recognizing our own value, actively choosing the path of truth over revenge, and finding real strength in our solitude, we can absolutely build a life of profound peace and true self-respect. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep growing, keep reflecting on your journey, and I'll see you next time.